a journey for the faint-hearted. Let me put it that way. You might be seen as a coward, but trust me, when you grow to that place, where easy,
let's take comments quickly.
I agree with you.
Mama, let's take comment. We don't have time. Easy. All right.
Okay.
There shall be no slapping on this table today.
All right. Good evening, ladies. This outgoing governor's wife is a disgrace to Nigeria politics. This has affected her husband's political career in future. Your live broadcast is fairly okay today.
Oh, praise the Lord. Ade from UK.
Thank you, Ade.
Diana from Gombe State, are you there live? Quickly, you're live. Hello? Did we lose her? Go ahead, quickly. You have a minute.
Zainab from Gombe.
Okay,
so, Zainab, Nakwana. Oh, yeah, let's go.
Go ahead, quickly. You have a minute. Hello? Zainab from Gombe.
Echo TV.
She's not. I've said this thing here.
I'll take the comment. It says, honestly, girls, it's a very terrible embarrassment. Yeah. I wonder how they will face their children. For me, Madam Bianca seeing a mad woman coming close should have quietly run off, given her late husband's status. I've never witnessed such an embarrassment. Yeah. So I think the last comment from me really is, we don't have the backstory. I know so many comments have been said about the Mrs. Obiano and all of that. So we don't have the backstory. And I think the one I saw that sort of maybe, based on what I've seen in the video, might be true is oh, you said you were not going to ever come to an APGA event, and here you are. Because she went with that, oh, so you're here, huh? But the truth of it is, on both sides, look, I'm not going to speak to the cantankerous side because that's the provocation. I'll still come back to, if you do find ourselves, I like the caller that said it's not a male thing, it's not a female thing, because we've seen it go wrong also with men. But the reality of it is that if you find yourself in that situation where you're being provoked or you're being pushed, it's natural. Even me, like, I have a very bad temper. I would have flown off the handle first, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad that I just did that. Why did I do that, right? So it's just a constant, it should be at the front of your mind. It's something that, you know, all of us need to work on.
Okay, so we have a minute to go. Let me quickly take a comment. Good evening, ladies. Bianca, an ex-beauty queen and a former ambassador, with all this profile and achievement, Obiano's wife still gets still get mind slapper. No, it was Bianca that slapped her. Fair women, oh, you ladies are doing great. This is from Mr. Idris. I think, Isi, you have a comment. Norma, you have a comment quickly. Oti, you have a comment.
Okay, my comment is, oh, wow.
Hurry up.
Isi, welcome back. Missed you this week, especially your permit me to say this, your Oyibo. You look beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
good evening, ladies. Violence should never have a time. Bianca should never have slapped in public.
Really? Okay, so we have run out of time. She shouldn't have slapped her? I wouldn't have slapped her, though.
I wish.
I wouldn't have slapped her.
But I can understand.
But honestly, some people need brain reset.
Life.
But there are different ways to reset brain. Yeah.
Maybe we'll bring that topic another day. Maybe you teach us how to reset brain.
They should employ me as the police coach.
No, you see where I was coming from. You're always, everything has to be prima proper. Sometimes you have to do...
Before I call you a belle,
it's
not about prim and proper, but you can be firm without violence.
No, this person was in your face. What do you do?
What do you do? You
this
walk
is
away.
Let me round this up. This is a typical case of Russia and Ukraine. That's what's happening right now.
That one is
on that note,
we gotta go.
Thank you, Isi. Thank you, Norma. Thank you. It's been a fantastic conversation. And thank you to everyone that called in and people that tried to call in. Please, the rules, just turn off the volume of your television set so there's no echo. All right, so if you missed, okay, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements online. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. To be able to bear provocation is an argument of great reason, and to forgive it is of a great mind. So when you actually rise above provocation, you are a great person. So Bianca, you shouldn't have slapped her, even though she provoked you, right? We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Adios.
On the breakfast today, Anambra State enters a new phase as the sixth democratically elected governor, Professor Charles Soludo, takes over the governorship from Willie Obiano, who has successfully ruled the state for 8 years under the All Progressives Grand Alliance. We take a look at the task ahead of the new governor.
Also on the breakfast, as Manchester United gets knocked out of the UEFA Champions League following their loss to Atletico Madrid in the round of 16. What is the implication for Man United and the stakeholders?
Don't forget, we'll also be going through the headlines on the front pages of today's newspaper, analyzing the biggest stories of the day. Very good morning to you and welcome to the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. I'm Kofi Bartels.
And I am Messi Bopo. Very good morning to you as well, and thank you for joining us.
It's a beautiful, beautiful Friday morning, and we have a lot in store for you this morning on the breakfast bumper package. We'll be looking at the earlier advertised topics with very seasoned guests, and promises to be an interesting one. But let's start things off with a usual trending segment. A lot to talk about, but we can only fit in 3 of them, so let's get rolling. The first one happens to be one from the swearing-in ceremony of Governor Chukwuma Charles Soludo of Anambra State, which we'll be looking at later. But at some point, while we're expecting to see, Governor Soludo's speech trend, unfortunately, it was not to be so. The governor had intended, or governor-elect had intended for that to be a low-key ceremony, a low-key ceremony. However, he has his work cut out for him, and this seems to be something that should give him an indication of what he'll be facing. He wants to do business unusual, or as they say, it won't be business as usual. But I'm sure what happened yesterday is a bit of a taste that his battle will be to ensure that it's not business as usual. Because in what was meant to be a low-key ceremony, 2 women, 2 ladies turned it into a high attention ceremony, you want to call it that. The wife of the outgone governor of the state, or the immediate past governor of the state, Ebele Chukwu Obiano, who seems not to be too popular amongst the Anambrarians, and the wife of the former military governor of Anambra State in 1966 and a former leader of the breakaway Biafra Republic, Dame Chukwuemeka Odimegu Ojukwu, Bianca Ojukwu. She is pictured on your screen there. The video shows Ebele Chukwu, who arrived at the scene quite late because it's meant to be a short ceremony, and she had to park her car far because the entrance to the government house had been blocked. She arrived late, and after sitting down, walked over to where Bianca was seated. It's not clear what happened, but a report said she uttered some not too charitable words to Ebele Chukwu. According to reports, to wit, you said you would never attend any APGA event and said our government would not last 8 years. So what are you doing here, Bianca? And I don't know what else she said, but Bianca Ojukwu wasn't having it. And reports said that she, like you're seeing there, stood up and gave Ebele a piece of her mind. Let me put it that way.
You should say it the way it is.
Ebele was said to have responded, I'm sure they know, by pulling Bianca's head. Though the people out there think Bianca pulled the wig of Ebele. And you can see DSS operatives, security operatives, and co. had to rush to the rescue of the 2, to separate the 2 women. This was just before Charles Soludo gave his inaugural speech. The narratives being put out there, I have a problem with that. But Mercy, what's your take on this before I tell you my issue?
Well, so first of all, it's embarrassing, whatever the situation is, whether or not, someone was a meddlesome interloper, a busybody. But whatever the situation is, quite embarrassing. One would expect that, in a ceremony like this, very, very a serious issue. Because at some point, you also could hear the video of the governor, the governor that was supposed to swearing in at the time, talking about Charles Soludo, saying that, hey, if you're not part of this event, get out.
Okay, when there was some noise
yeah,
at
because
back
the
here.
the
That
noise was
after
actually
after the altercation, though.
Yes, but of course it was at the time, and I mean it's okay that he was even focused and he could go ahead with the speech, because it can be worrying that you're going to be taking an oath, it's a very important date, and one would not expect, as much as you have security personnel around to ensure that nothing happens outside of the ordinary, then you wouldn't expect that you have this little rancor and bickering around. So really, really embarrassing. But looking at the video, you would see that the wife of the former governor, Obiano, walked, because I saw it. So from the point I saw it, she was strolling, taking the work, to that point where you had, Bianca Ojukwu seated there. So you can see that. So for me, I really don't know. I can't hear the audio. Really, I tried to listen a couple of times, but I can't really hear what happened. Like, I can't hear the sound or the exchange, but I can see the action there. It just shows you that someone just left. What happened? You're supposed to be seated with your husband, right? So that's what you're expecting. It's a ceremony, it's a swearing ceremony, and you're a wife of a governor. One would expect that you sit honorably with your husband. What took you there? And that's why I would say that's like a busybody. The word is meddlesome interloper. Took a stroll and you got to that point. So some people will say whatever it is that you got, you deserve it. But like I would say generally, it's totally embarrassing. And at the point where we're saying breaking the bias, women supporting women, I don't know, really not.
I didn't want to be the one to point out that.
No, but I need to. I had to before you come and put my neck on.
Okay, but I'm worried. I think
for what reason?
The internet, the so-called credible news outlets, not the blogs this time, but the papers that we know, ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Okay.
Because yesterday what happened was a disgrace for journalism in Nigeria. All the papers, most of the major newspapers who have online platforms, put out the headline, Ebele Chukwu slaps Bianca. Most of them. And if you go to read the major ones that we even use for newspaper review here, if you go, you'd see that there are stories about this. Later they put update, : Ebele Chukwu and Bianca Ojukwu fight. But they rushed to put out, and this is just evidence of the fact that what we have in Nigeria today, by the papers that we grew up reading so that we could learn English. Right now, you have to make sure your kids don't read those papers so that English doesn't go bad. Now we have the newspapers and the journalism in Nigeria becoming copy and paste. And this is wrong, copy and paste. A lot of the media houses are doing it, especially the print media. Copy and paste journalism. So why would the papers put out a story as breaking news?
Without verification.
Only to now realize that they got it wrong and they have to update it. For what we can see, it is not clear what happened there.
Exactly.
For what we can see, we can't even hear what happened there. That's the first one. The second one is the way the pictures were depicting both. You can see there was one picture that has become popular of Ebele looking, she looks like she's shouting, her mouth is almost twisted, and she doesn't look well. And Bianca looking cool. And that picture, this is it. That picture shows a narrative that one person seems to be the troublemaker, while the other person is the person who is as cool as ice. So, in situations like this, the media has to not rush to paint narratives. Really, you have to just paint the story and tell the picture. And there's nothing wrong if you're not the one to break it first. There's nothing wrong if you're not the one to tell what happened, okay? Because we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. Did Bianca slap first? We don't know. Did Ebele Chukwu slap first? We don't know. We can't see. There's no evidence to that fact. But on a light note, I think it was the Ebuka of Big Brother fame who said that he's disappointed in the media, that he watched the entire ceremony live on TV, and not one TV station could show him who did the slapping, And then someone responded to his tweet, that the cameras in Big Brother house don't show us everything. Disappoint us sometimes.
Of course.
And
I mean,
he laughed. He said, "Can't I joke with you?"
That's not
can't
even
I
a
joke? But
conversation
we
to
need to be
develop.
careful on their own. And this is a conversation that needs to be had separately. Whether any group, no matter where you come from in the country, no matter the culture you have, has a right to declare who should be in a part of this country. Of course, Bianca Odimegu Ojukwu is revered in Igbo land. She has a title in Igbo. I think it's Alaigbo or something. I need to check. As the wife and the successor, the survivor of the leader of the Igbo nation, who led the struggle for a breakaway republic of Biafra. She's seen as an untouchable, or let me say, someone to be revered. I think that's the word to use, someone to be respected. And to try and drag her, pull her, or be in such a fight, unfortunately, Ebele cannot win.
No, but some of the points that you have raised very valid, because as of yesterday, I still had to look at it. When I saw the videos making the rounds, I couldn't really, there was one video that was making the rounds that wasn't really clear. You couldn't even see what happened. So you can't see.
The one from
but
inside
clearly,
the canopy.
yes, inside the canopy.
Yeah.
But like I could say, and like I would say, you just find someone who's taking a stroll to another point. So for me, I just feel like, why did you even go there in the first place? Whatever the case was. Yeah. And so whatever would have transpired, really. Yeah, but that's on the one side. But like I said, it's totally embarrassing. That's number one. The period, this is March. I mean, one would say it's a month for women. This has been declared breaking the bias. One would think women will put themselves together, whatever it is. So I didn't hear, and I still have not heard what happened. That audio that's been played, I played a couple of times, but I can't even hear what was said.
She used an uncharitable word to.
So you heard?
Yes, and yes, I heard it. I heard that word. The video taken from inside the canopy. She used the A word. That is used to call commercial sex workers. Okay. Yes, okay. And then now, a lot of people commenting now they've now labeled Ebele that word in Igbo. You understand? It's and the youth group that put out the statement called on the IG to arrest Ebele, and said that the markets she went to buy, she bought some items. That those items she bought from the market have to be delivered to her. Is what they said. But it's Commissioner of Police of Anambra State has said, nada. We're not arresting.
No, but you need to understand, like I mentioned prior to this time, first of all, it's embarrassing, whatever the situation is. One would expect that, the other party should be in control, but usually it's issue of provocation. And you also find out where even the Bible would say parents don't provoke your children to anger, and so you can't even control that. But my point is, I saw someone taking a walk. I probably wasn't there. I didn't hear what happened. But why did you take a walk? You left your seat. You're supposed to be seated with your husband. Probably put a hand.
If I go to court, and it's proven that I walked to where you were, and I said some unsavory words to you.
No, you could have said. But you also have the issue of provocation. You know that.
And I said some unsavory words. I know, and it's proven that you were the one that physically harmed me. I may get some stick or some judgment, something for provoking, but the person who did the hitting will get the worst.
No, that's
it's
fine.
like football.
That's fine.
Zidane was in the World Cup final
between
that's
totally
France and Italy.
That's totally
and
fine.
Materazzi, the Italian defender, went and told him some things. I think he also insulted Zidane's mother.
Okay, so we need to move away. But to be very honest, it's totally fine whoever gets whoever gets the punishment and whoever gets the verdict. One would say that, hey, you should sit honorably with your husband. It's an important event. I mean, I don't know why you should take a stroll to wherever you went to. Whatever it is you wanted to say, you probably would have said it via text message or look for another occasion. But I mean, it's not a justification for whatever happened. But some people will say, hey, I think you deserve what happened to you. But we need to move away from that. Looking at another issue is the fact that leaders should be held accountable. And that came from Tony Elumelu, a very prominent Nigerian, is also an entrepreneur. And I'd like to take a read. I just read, his comment. He got a lot of Nigerians talking and got people saying, oh, all you need to do is just put a call. So it brings us to the conversation of saying, you see this Nigeria that everybody says. I remember being on the street a couple of times trying to get this vox pop and do my job, and some people will say, oh, it's not my business. He said, this Nigeria, consign me, it's not my business. It consigned everybody. It consigns the president, it consigns the governor, it consigns everybody. Because, the way it's going is affecting everyone. And we can't wake up and say that. So quickly, let's see if we can run through this one now. He says, this is from, Tony Elumelu's tweet, and he says, this morning, I'm listening to my colleagues at the office bemoan the very pressing issues that they face every day in this country. And for 5 days, and how things have been getting worse and worse. No electricity for 5 days, hikes in the price of diesel, fighting food inflation, etc. How can a country so rich in natural resources have 90% of its citizens living in hardship and poverty? I have often said that access to electricity is critical for development, alleviation of poverty and hardship. And speaking of security, our people are afraid, businesses are suffering. How can we be losing over 95% of our oil production to thieves? Look at the Bonny terminal that should be receiving over 200,000 barrels of crude oil daily. Instead, it received less than 3,000 barrels, leading the operators at Shell to declare the fact that they are divesting. Why are we paying taxes if our security agencies cannot stop this? It is clear that the reason Nigeria is unable to meet its OPEC production quota is not because of low investment, but because of theft, pure and simple. Meanwhile, all producing countries are smiling as the foreign reserves is rising. What is Nigeria's problem? We need to hold our leaders more accountable. Elections are coming. Security and resources need to be everyone's agenda. He also said that let's be vocal of our nation's priority. Evil prevails when good people are silent. We need to be vocal about 2023. Let's focus on Nigeria. Demand and advocate for leaders that deliver in 2023. Nigeria must be on a strong trajectory for progress and development. And that's, this tweet. You can imagine, I mean, this is the very first time for me. I don't know about you, reading such a tweet about Tony Elumelu. And I couldn't agree less with everything that he said, in this particular tweet. So yes, it's affecting everyone. We cannot continue the same way. You can't even wake up and say, it's none of my business. I know, and begin to hold our leaders account. PVC, it goes beyond tweeting and ranting on social media. You have to be deliberate. Look for a candidate, credible one. You can't sell your vote. You sell your vote for 5,000 naira. I mean, sometimes I ask myself, how far can 5,000 naira go? So someone gives you a sachet of salt or a bag of rice, 5 cups and 10 cups. You will need fresh tomatoes. You will need ingredients. Come ask me. You can't cook it like that and eat it. You will need other ingredients. And how long can it take you? It is not. So from where they're taking that from, there's so much. We need to, ensure that we bring people that are credible. That's number one. We can't sell our votes. We must hold them because it's affecting everybody. Security is everyone's business. You never can tell when the robbers will come to your house, when bandits will be waiting for you. So we need to move away from not being very patriotic and get to the election, oh, they are going to rig it. Nobody's going to rig it if you come out to vote. And that's what we're saying here. It's a very serious one. And like I would say again, over and over, I would say I support him on this particular tweet, and everything that he said is very important. Up until now, we haven't had the government saying, oh, does anyone, heads are not rolling. We're hoping that, someone is responsible for importing bad petrol into Nigeria. How come we don't have some people being arrested? It's a good thing that those who, you remember the story of the souvenir petrol. So why don't we have, just as much as you have given a bail, 2 million naira, someone should be paying for it. We can't continue to do the same thing in this country and expect a different result. It's not rocket science, really.
Yeah, so interestingly, the comments on social media regarding this, someone said, businesses are hemorrhaging, because he started off his rant with looking at the economy. It's mostly an economic thing. The theme or the thesis of what his Twitter rant was about, economy. And someone says businesses are hemorrhaging. So for it means they're bleeding. For someone like Elumelu to complain about the state of the economy, it means that the businesses are bleeding. And in the Nigeria of today, the Nigerian economy of today, the rich are also crying. And so Soke is no longer the exclusive preserve of the young and free. It now also is the refrain of the high and mighty. They also have to Sorosoke. So if you're not speaking out about what's going on in the country, what are you doing? Some people felt, Elumelu is taking a risk, tweeting like this, because they'll come after you. Oga go delete this tweet after 2 hours. People were betting amongst themselves. He's going to delete the tweet. But I checked just now, the tweet is still there. And I believe that, people like Tony Elumelu don't tweet on impulse like the rest of us.
Exactly.
People like Tony Elumelu don't tweet randomly. They don't make random statements. Whatever they put out is calculated, is thought out, and is strategic. You know, so for those predicting that he'll delete his tweet or like he's afraid that government will go after him and all that, listen, he knows what he's doing. He must have thought about it. And he's been tweeting about, you know, having the right leadership in Nigeria before now. It's not the first time. Though he does it, sometimes it's not as open as this, but he's been doing this. But some people have pointed out the fact that maybe the reason why Tony Elumelu is so okay is because he might have been affected, you know, by some bad processes. Let's call it that. It wasn't treated fairly. We know that there's been some bidding for some oil wells and blocks and all that have been let go by the international oil companies that we've had in the country before. And some people are speculating that he may have been hit hard or have been given, you know, a bad hand. Maybe not treated fairly, and that's why he's had to put out this. Some have also said, you know what, that we still have banks in the country, including a bank that he founded, extorting Nigerians and fleecing Nigerians with debit alerts that they can't reconcile, which has led the National Assembly to say they want to look into what the banks are doing. So they're saying, someone's saying he should fix that. You know, let the banks stop extorting Nigerians. Then we can start talking. So these are some of the things people are saying. But we'll look at what comes out of this. It's interesting. I agree with what Tony Elumelu said. No matter what the motives may be, the fact is what he said is the truth. And they say, speak the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So let's move on to another one now.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that we get to a point where we don't begin to make everything about when people make comments and people make statements, then we don't begin to, you know, try to investigate the intention and begin to come up with conspiracy theory. What he said is reality. It doesn't really matter what has happened, but we're saying that we need to speak up. Because when good people keep quiet or silent about issues, evil will continue to thrive. And that's why we're here right now. So we're hoping that we're vocal. It doesn't really matter. You know the statement that says that, you know, you're dead and you're dead already. He that's down is not afraid to go down. And so they said, but moving away from that, there's also a top trending conversation where you have core members protest police shooting in Ibadan. And you want to talk about the issue of police protests. It said that it's yet to be identified member of National Youth Corps members serving in Oyo State was allegedly shot by a policeman on stop and search routine at a new garage in a local government of the state yesterday. And this is actually, like I would say, so I really don't remember if it was when you and I were on air, but I have, you know, for the very first time, I witnessed it in Lekki here, a police actually shot. I was scared to my bones.
Shot where?
He shot him. He just shot randomly.
Okay.
You know, and
someone or in the air or on the ground.
Okay, so this is what happened. I was moving out of a particular space, you know, in Lekki, and then you had this traffic usually at that particular spot. So there were vehicles. So what happened was people were trying to maneuver and get away from the traffic. I really don't know. So you saw the police officers, you saw them, the interior uniform, very heated. And then they were chasing after this guy. I really don't know what happened. So the guy escaped, and then they were exchanging words. And the next thing, the guy shot. The guy shot directly. I mean, he shot a live, you know, ammunition. That's what it's called. He shot live. You know, when I say he shot live, he shot live. And everyone was really scared about it. So the issue of police brutality is still on. I really don't know where we got to the point. Because if you look at the police slogan, it says, police is your friend. What is police really your friend? The point is, no one is saying that the police should stop, you know, you have a right to go about your duty. But the question over time is, how do you carry out the duty? It's not civil, it's not human. It's like you're treating animals. There should be a way. You can't just be rascal, because you see a lot of rascality and, you know, uncertain, uncivil behavior with, you know, some police officers. And it really, that's what actually led to the police protests. I mean, the hashtag answers. But we haven't changed from where we are. I think that the Nigerian police force should pay attention to that slogan, police is your friend, really. We need to understand if police is your friend. No one's saying you shouldn't discharge your duty, but how do you go about your duty?
All right, we have to move on. Interesting, you know, stories, but we ended on a sad note, really. We'd bring you more as the developments unfold. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. When we return, we dive into the pages of the national dailies. We have G.D. Johnson of the Nigerian Institute of Journalism joining us for After Press. We'll be right back.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
That's still the breakfast in Plus TV Africa. Time for us to take you through the pages of our national dailies, and we call it Off the Press. And a big shout out to our paper vendors for making these papers available. We have Jide Johnson, who joins the conversation in no time. Jide, it's good to have you join us.
Good morning, Mercy. Good morning, Kofi, and good morning to our viewers all over the world. It's a pleasure to do this with you guys.
All right, then. Let's take a look at the leadership newspaper. That's what we start with this morning. And the banner caption says, APC convention, Buni endorses Bello's actions and moves to douse tension in party. It's a bold caption on the leadership this morning. Caretaker members, stakeholders bicker over Akpanu Doedege. 10 committee members issue him sack later. There should be sanction for flaunting President Muhammad Buhari's order. The riders you find underneath. And troops kill another 100 bandits in Niger State. I won't resign until 2023, Malami replies critics. And fuel scarcity, high price or high diesel price. Federal government to sanction saboteurs. I mean, this is what Nigerians, who are the saboteurs? We need to know. 2023, Atiku picks PDP presidential form. Hours after leaving office, EFCC arrests Obiano, and federal government raises fresh $1.25 billion through Eurobonds. This is what you find on the leadership this morning, and that's the much we can take.
Let's turn our attention to the Punch newspaper with these headlines. The big one there. Nigeria borrowed 6.64 trillion naira, serviced debt with 2.93 trillion naira in 2021, says the Debt Management Office. I think we need to go over that again so it sinks in. Nigeria borrowed 6.64 trillion naira, serviced debt with 2.93 trillion naira in 2021, says Debt Management Office. Experts Dawns warn federal government as public debt stock hits 39.56 trillion naira. Economists warn of repayment problems, hard times ahead. More from the Punch. Telcos mull tariff increase as diesel price skyrockets. Details on page 23. Soludo sworn in as Anambra governor retains Obiano's SSG. APC in race to hold March 26 convention battles injunction. PCR tests for travelers fraudulent. Probe NCDC ministry. It's coming from a World Health Organization envoy. Gunmen invade Kaduna community, abduct 47 in midnight raid. PDP handling face-off with Wike, peace achievable, says Obaseki. Church founder wanted by the FBI for wire fraud arrested in Enugu. Ife indigenous protesters OAU names Bamire 12th VC. EFCC picks up US-bound ex-governor Obiano at Lagos airport. Suspected female ritualist arrested in Kwara Cash recovered, male Vista flees. And the final one, Northern Bismen buy 40 million naira PDP presidential form for Atiku Abubakar on page 8. It's not to see if he cannot afford to buy as many as he wants.
Away from the Punch newspaper, we take a look at The Guardian. The Guardian says Bani returns as CECPC sacks Akpan Odoedege. That's boldly written. March 26, National Convention remains sacrosanct. With dealings with shortages, Russia and Ukraine conflict rises costs. And you also find Atiku picks 40 million naira presidential funds as Tambuwal intensifies consultation. Now, away from that, EFCC arrests Obiano at Lagos Airport. Government plans new trade policy over Russia and Ukraine war, and federal government going tough on fake news. Malami warns journalists. Important. And Soludo at inauguration seeks dialogue with IPOP, ESN, and MASOP, others. That's also another header interesting this morning on the Guardian newspaper. And just before we move away from the Guardian, you find fuel supply, Nigeria paying for 30 years neglect of pipeline, air tickets near 120,000. And that's what you find this morning on the Guardian newspaper.
Let's quickly turn attention to the final one, the Daily Independent, with the big headline, confusion as APC. In APC, as infighting rocks caretaker committee. Confusion in APC as infighting rocks caretaker committee. The following writers to that headline. Members claim sacking John James Akpan Odoedege. Nobody can override Buhari's directive, CECPC scribe. Governor May Malabuni backs Governor Sani Bello's action. Talk about surprises there. More from the Daily Independent. Nigeria's public debt rises to 39.55 trillion naira. Aviation fuel, 72 hours after. Airlines, marketers yet to agree on new price. How Nigeria can tackle 3 trillion annual post-harvest losses. As elections near, Elumelu asks Nigerians to hold leaders accountable. Tambuwal reveals how PDP can win the 2023 presidential election. 2023 Northeast Business Forum buys presidential form for Atiku. I hope J.D. Johnson is not laughing off screen. Bianca slapping Obiano's wife. Soludo apologizes for breach of protocol at inauguration. Promises to implement Soludo solution based on 5 pillars. And EFCC arrests Willie Obiano at Lagos Airport. Small matter of 4 billion naira being withdrawn in one day from the coffers of the state. It's now time to bring in at this point senior lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism, J.D. Johnson. Good morning to you, Mr. Johnson, Dr. Johnson.
Good morning, Kofi, and good morning to Mercy, and good morning to our viewers all over the world.
All right, let's get things started with a look at the big one on the front page of the Punch. Why are Nigerians surprised, especially the economists and the experts? You know, why are they surprised that the nation is neck deep rather in debt? Because I mean, we saw that the economic policy, probably the only economic blueprint of this administration, has been to borrow to fix its problems. They've gone to the Eurobond market in recent times to borrow US dollars so they can buy petrol to come subsidize to Nigerians in Naira, which we're going to end up paying back, which is stupid. Sorry to use the word. So this headline here, Nigeria borrowed 6.464 trillion Naira and service debt with 2.93 trillion Naira in 2021. It seems we are embarking, or we are operating a Ponzi scheme economy where we borrow from Peter to pay what we took from Paul. Mr. Johnson, your thoughts on this?
Well, it's very clear that there's no clear direction with respect to this present administration economic policy other than to borrow. And then, well, you can borrow for investment. When you borrow to invest the money in projects, economic projects that will generate revenue for you to pay back your debt, it's understandable. Every nation borrows. America borrows. Russia borrows. But the difference with the borrowing in Nigeria and that of other Western world and other developing economy is the infrastructure. And if you liken that to an individual, it's like an individual that is borrowing money to fund his Owambe lifestyle. Is expensive taste, and then he's not borrowing money to improve his business. His experience will be like that experience of Nigeria. So like you said, it shouldn't come to anyone as a surprise that the various economic hardship we are facing, because we have been borrowing money without those money actually injected into the economy to drive our economy and to build the pillars of the productive elements of our economy. So for me, it's nothing surprise. My only surprise that I'm shocked that people are shocked with respect to this, because if you listen and you do an overview of what experts have said over the years, of what commentators have said, of what social critics have said, with respect to how this government is borrowing money, then you know why we find ourselves in this dire strait. Because for me, I can't reconcile all the money this administration claims to have recovered from corrupt public officials and corrupt civil servants in the last, under the Jonathan administration and previous administration before Jonathan, with the fact that the same government went ahead to borrow money and is still borrowing money till date. We borrow money to build the railway line from Kanu to Maradi. We didn't borrow money to build a railway line from Calabar to Lagos, so that we have the cross-Atlantic trade route. I don't know the kind of business you can have in the sub-Saharan trade route compared with the kind of business you have in the cross-Atlantic from the coast of Calabar to the coast of Lagos, the kind of businesses you do. So it's not surprising to me that we are having what we are having. If I ask you, who is the Minister of Economic Planning for Buhari? Who is the Minister for Finance for antecedents? Where is she? The economic team of this present administration. No one knows who they are and how often do they meet and what type of policy trust they have for this particular administration that has already got into the twilight of it. We should just manage this administration till the end of next year, because after almost 7 years, there's no clear-cut direction with respect to economic policy. One, there's no clear-cut direction with respect to social policy. Two, there's no clear-cut direction with respect to even security, which was one of the major reasons why this administration was elected in 2015. You read the story: bandits killed 100,000, abducted 100 people in Niger, 47 people in Kaduna. A lot of Nigerians are troubled and worried about what is happening in Ukraine, whereas we have our own Ukraine right here in Nigeria.
Such situation there.
Very sad. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. It talks about Buni's return as the CECPC sacks Akpan Odoi. I mean, with all that's unfolding in the APC ahead of the convention, are you really surprised?
Mercy. Lord will have mercy on APC. I'm not surprised. One, if you read, you see that the forces that are, one, you see the letter written by the president earlier this week. The letter was addressed to the governor of Kebbi State, who happens to be the chairman of the Governors Forum, where the president was making a passionate appeal for the status quo ante to remain, and so that APC can have its convention, put the normal structure and the proper structure in place. By the instrumentality of that letter, you would think that Buni coming back to Nigeria, Buni will ensure that as he's returning as the chairman of the caretaker committee, also Akpan Odoi returns as the secretary, because that's what the letter states expressly. But you know, politics is about interest, and a critical component of politics is intrigues. Intrigues and power play. We are witnessing the power play and the intrigues. If not for the intervention of INEC writing APC, telling APC that they do not recognize Bello and that the convention is only Buni and Akpanoduede that can write them with respect to the convention that they want to hold on the 26th. Buni himself was almost gone. So just grab a popcorn and your carbonated soft drink. And then if you don't do carbonated soft drink, whatever drink you drink, just sit down by your couch and be ready for more drama as we witness the confusion in the two major political parties. I call it APC House of Commotion. APC House of Commotion. The interesting thing is that PDP is not an excuse, because if you look at the parts and the drama between Wiki and the governor of Edo State, Obaseki, all those drama is not about the interest of the people. They are just fighting for their interest and who controls the delegates to the National Convention. Everything you are seeing in APC is also a reflection of what will happen as events unfold in PDP, because the nominations for various political offices will happen in the next 3 months. So just grab your popcorn and be ready to watch the drama as it unfolds, both in APC and in PDP.
Really interesting. I think it's good you've already gone to the next one, which you were about to bring up, which is the fact that you can never lay your life down for these politicians, because you have Obaseki and Wike who were going at each other. Now it seems that they're trying to douse the tension. Thank you for that, Judy Johnson. Let's go over to look at the fuel supply situation in the country, to Nigerians and even to the airlines as well, who are crying out. With the front page of the leadership on Friday has this headline: fuel scarcity, high diesel price, FG to sanction saboteurs. Fuel scarcity, high diesel price, FG to sanction saboteurs. And you look at the front page of the Daily Independent: aviation fuel, 72 hours after airlines marketers yet to agree on new price. I must say, in Lagos, where we are, the queues seem to have returned to almost the levels they were in the weeks gone by. Your thoughts on these headlines?
Well, if you see the headline in Guardian, it talked about Nigerian paying the price for 30 years of neglect of pipeline. And as a result of that, we have seen that there is disruption in the supply of petroleum products across all users and marketers and various categories, both diesel, kerosene, and no one is even talking about kerosene, because the rich can afford to buy their liquefied gas, their cooking gases. But if you look at the price of kerosene, it's out of the reach of an average man. And then the aircraft are crying. They are crying and experiencing what other Nigerians have been experiencing for many, many years, and what an average household has been experiencing in Nigeria for many, many years. We neglect the pipeline. What is the reason? What is the hold that Russia has over Germany? The hold that Russia has over Europe? What is the first reason why Russia invaded Ukraine? Because Ukraine, critical part X, Nord Stream 2 is a pipeline that is being constructed by Russia that passed through the Nordic waters to get to Europe, bypassing the mainland and going through the sea to supply the European corridor. You recall there was a point in time that the pipeline that passed through Ukraine to Europe, Ukrainians blocked it when they had one crisis with Russia. What's the reason behind the rise in the price of gas, which is petroleum products in the United States of America? The Keystone pipeline that was approved under Donald Trump was cancelled by Joe Biden. So pipeline, with even the much talk about alternative energy, we have seen that this fossil fuel, energy from fossil fuel, and it is still a key component part of sourcing for energy in the world. Now, we have not invested in, you don't, a serious country transport their petroleum product using pipeline. It is the cheapest. It is the safest. You don't have this kind of crisis you have that tankers will tumble on Otedola Bridge in Lagos and it will kill many people. It has happened this year. It happened last year. It will still happen again because you transport most of your petroleum product using trucks, whereas pipeline is the cheapest and the best form of what you use to distribute your petroleum products. Because if you add the overhead cost of the transportation cost to the product itself, definitely the price will go up. So for 30 years, you have neglected that. The airlines are crying because they can't get the fuel they require to fly the aircraft. There's another thing on the airline themselves. They are just criminal. When they got the fuel, what is the prices of the ticket? The airlines in Nigeria, I don't pity them. That's my opinion. I might be wrong. I don't pity them because they've eaten their cake and they've eaten their butter before their bread. Because if you are used to flying locally, you know how the airline are quote unquote irresponsible. They cancel flight anyhow, and then once you are late and once they delay your flight, they won't fulfill their own part of the deal. But once you are late for the check-in time, they will close the door and you have to pay through your noses. What is the economic sense of flying 10 people when you could fly 100 or flying 10 people at 120,000?
J.D. Johnson, let's also take a look at this one. It concerns you. I mean, it concerns you and I as well. It talks about federal government going tough on fake news, and that's what Malami wants journalists.
You see, the word "one" journalist, it's not within the purview of Malami to talk anything about fake news. His own responsibility is to look at the dispensation, the administration and dispensation of justice. That should be left for the regulatory body. You have regulatory body. It's an overkill for him to be burdening himself with fake news. The court system and the regulatory bodies that we have are equipped to deal with those issues. And as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing like fake news, because if it is fake, it is not news. What we have is misinformation and disinformation. And if you look at it in actual sense, those that engage more in disinformation and misinformation are actually public officials globally. Globally, if you've done a lot of trainings on fact-checking and the rest of it, it is government itself that is a perpetrator of disinformation and misinformation, not providing the people with the accurate information they require per time, hiding under the guise of national security, state security, and the rest of it. So Malami it doesn't fall within the purview of his office to be talking about that. For me, I think it's an overkill and it's an overshoot of his responsibility. There's nothing like fake news. What we have is disinformation. If it is fake, it is not news.
All right, that should be a lecture session from the chief lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. I think we've been taking our notes. We should come for a certificate from you. But back to your comment, J.D. Johnson, on the state of the nation, especially as regards the fuel supply situation, the scarcity, and the cost of Jet A1 for the airlines, high prices in diesel and all that. I'd like to link those comments to a story on the front page of the Daily Independent, talking about what Tony Elumelu put out on social media. And the headline from the Daily Independent goes thus: as elections near, Elumelu asks Nigerians to hold leaders accountable. But he was particular about the fact that businesses are suffering. He says, quote, "How can we be losing over 95% oil production to thieves? Look at the Bonny terminal that should be receiving 200,000 barrels of crude oil daily. Instead, it receives less than 3,000 barrels, leading to the operator, Shell, to declare force majeure." Your thoughts on Elumelu's statements regarding the economy?
Well, it's important for us to be the watchdog of the Nigerian society, that everybody becomes a stakeholder and not just an ordinary member of the Nigerian society. And that responsibility lies with us first and foremost as the media, and then for us to equip the citizenry to ask questions. Now, what we have seen the development of patronism and not journalism. We have seen that that people we see people interviewing governors, interviewing president, asking patronizing questions and not journalistic questions that will unearth the truth that will put someone on the top spot. So we have become patrons of the political class and the economic class rather than be journalists representing the entire people and being the voice of the voiceless, the eyes and the ears of the people. So I agree with him. I agree with me. But the question you ask is, what investment is it making to ensure that we have civic education, that people are educated? What is foundation? I don't know he has a foundation on entrepreneur development. But if you don't deal with the politics, if you invest your money and government comes up with one policy, it will destroy your entire business. It will destroy it. Just one policy from assault from government will destroy your investment. So that's why we said there's a particular theory in the media which you talk about, which is the masses theory, talking about who controls the means of production. It's called the political economy theory. Now, the politics shapes the economy, no matter how powerful you are economically. For example, one policy from government can destroy the entire business of Dangote. Just one policy of government. So the people investing money on entrepreneur development should also understand that civic education is a critical component part of economic development. There should be foundations, different foundations that make investment on citizen empowerment, citizen education, and improving citizen participation. Since the National Orientation Agency, which is the agency of government that they start with the responsibility, has gone moribund deliberately because it serves the purpose of the ruling class as long as the citizens are not aware and conscious of their rights. So, but private individuals, philanthropists, needs to come in and invest. You know, we have the Ford Foundation, we have the Soros Foundation, different foundations in America making investment on citizen education and empowerment. And I think we need that. I agree with him, but we need investment in that so that, you see, for example, there's nothing stopping a foundation from looking for people with critical minds. Let's go across all the campuses in Nigeria and educate.
Okay.
We seem to have a freezing screen. I'm sure we'll try to get back to Judy Johnson. Miss Dr. Johnson, can you hear us, please? All right, we'll try and reconnect with him, and immediately as possible, we'll come back. But Mercy, it's quite an interesting analysis. We hear that Judy Johnson is back. Dr. Johnson, can you hear us, please?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. So please continue with your point.
So we make critical investment in going to secondary schools across the nation, telling them on the need for them to get engaged and participate in the political process. Go to university, letting them know to get engaged and also educate journalists who are the watchdog, who are the ears and the eyes of the public. Not to ask patronizing questions, but to ask tough questions, developmental questions that will develop the Nigerian society. Not to see themselves and being part and parcel of the establishment, not anti-establishment, but a progressive element that bring about change in the society. So we need that, to see themselves as being patriotic and not being partisan. We have seen a situation whereby journalists have become partisan. They have become part and parcel of the system they are supposed to criticize, the system they are supposed to evaluate, to put a critique on, but they see themselves as a journalist is first and foremost an independent mind, one, and is patriotic. So the level of patriotism, your loyalty should be to the nation, not to one interest. For example, why no one has asked? You see people keep talking about Atiku has picked the form, Tinubu has picked the form. You know, these people, they were lying their interest. Now, during the course of this week, Tinubu visited. Who would have thought that Tinubu will visit Omishore? Omishore, if you are from my part of the world and you know the political divide, that Tinubu will visit Omishore, and then you see that towards the tail end of the week, Wike and Obaseki are trying to reconcile their differences, which is their interest. However, as journalists, We need to train the citizen for them to look beyond past, ask tough questions. Why do you want to become president? What's your economic template? None of them has told us how they are going to solve this energy problem, this power problem. None of them has told us on how to solve this fuel problem. They've not told us how to resolve the issue of ASU that has education. They've not told us what they are going to do with critical infrastructure. All they are telling us is that I want to be president, and you see journalists falling head on each reporting it, and you see citizens running after them. And that will not bring about development in our society. It will not bring about development in our society.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much, Jide Johnson, for being part of the show this morning. We do appreciate your time.
Mercy, it's a pleasure. Thank God for having mercy on me.
And that's it. Jide Johnson is a chief lecturer in Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Thank you so much. It's been an interesting, time.
Yes, indeed, it has. It has. And up next, we'll take a look at what's happened today in history. And when we return, we dive straight into a first major conversation. Stay with us.
Do you know any female between the ages of 18 to 25 who is currently unemployed or an undergraduate who is passionate about technology? Africa Agility is empowering young females between the ages of 18 to 25 with tech skills ranging from
product management,
web development, artificial intelligence, data science, digital marketing, machine learning, blockchain technology, agile, networking, and cybersecurity through partnership with Cisco. Here is your chance to learn these tech skills for free. We offer a variety of instructor-led and self-paced programs, both physical and virtual. To be a part of our programs, join our community using the details on your screen. Africa Agility is slowly reducing the poverty rate in Africa, one girl at a time. To sponsor a female or to donate to this course, visit donate.africaagility.org. Thank you.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart.
for hating Ijaw people?
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Welcome back. It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. And now to our first major conversation. Former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, was yesterday sworn in as governor of Anambra State in southern Nigeria.
Which shall be brought under my consideration.
Any matter which has been brought under my consideration.
Or shall become known to me as governor of Anambra
Or
State.
shall become known to me as governor of Anambra State.
Except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties.
Except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties.
Fifth democratically elected governor of Anambra State. Before him, we have Dr. Chinwoke Mbadineju. After him, we had Dr. Chris Ngige. After Dr. Chris Ngige, there was Mr. Peter Ubi. And then very briefly, for about 3 months, we had Mrs. Reggie Etiaba. And then, of course, the two-time governor, who is now outgoing, Mr. Willie Obia.
In what was billed as a low-key ceremony for only about 50 guests, it had former governor of the state, Peter Obi, economist Professor Pat Utomi, and a former chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Victor Ome, among other dignitaries at the event. In his inaugural address, the governor enumerated the challenges facing the state, such as touting, illegal collection of taxes, levies, and insecurity. Now, while promising to flush out the touts, Soludo announced to a 1-month tax holiday for residents of the state, while saying that he would sign an executive order to ban all illegal revenue collectors in the state. Now, on the issue of the indigenous people of Biafra and the Eastern Security Network, he promised to dialogue with them in resolving the group's agitation, while saying, quote, "There is nothing that dialogue cannot solve," end of quote. Now, Soludo, who was driven to the venue in an innocent sports utility vehicle, keeping his earlier promise to use the Nigerian car brand, further promised in his speech to transform Anambra State and make it a livable place for everybody. The ceremony was not without drama, as two prominent women in the state, Mrs. Ebele Chukwu Obiano, wife of the immediate past governor, Willie Obiano, and Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, widow of Chukwuemeka Odimegu Ojukwu, former military governor of Eastern Nigeria and leader of the breakaway Republic of Biafra, engaged in a fiscal exchange that marred the occasion. Now, the two had to be separated by security operatives and party loyalists. Also, Governor Soludo immediately hit the ground running yesterday after being sworn in by retaining Professor Solo Chukwu Lobelu as the secretary to the state government. He is a SSG from the Obiano administration. He also announced the appointment of Dr. Chukwu Diokoli as the Accountant General and Chinedu Nwoye as the Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief of Protocol. Now, what is the task ahead of the new governor? Joining us to discuss this is Dr. Kach Onunuju, who is a political analyst. But before we come to our guests, let's listen to what Professor Charles Soludo said after being sworn in.
I insisted that this event must not cost the government of Anambra 1 kobo, and it has not. Even the little refreshment that we'll have here, the canopies and so on, they are all paid personally. It will not cost Anambra 1 kobo to do this. I would rather use such resources, if it's available, to lay the foundation stone for a public hospital at Okpoko or elsewhere, or empower our security agencies to fight criminality. Today, I come with a sober heart, conscious of the enormity of responsibilities on our shoulders and the challenges ahead. Yes, there will be time to celebrate. We will celebrate when security of life and property is guaranteed and law and order is restored. When every child of schooling age is in school, when every school child is receiving the 21st century education for the digital age. We will celebrate when everyone, especially children and women, can access quality health care, where the cost of doing business is down to near zero. Our roads are tarred and we have an efficient transportation system with no one having to wait in traffic for more than a few minutes. Until we have access to 24-hour electricity and our streets are clean and green, our cities, communities, and markets are planned and cleaned, the many millions of Chalinwambafos and the vulnerable persons are lifted up to realize their God-given potential. And all our pensioners receive their gratuities and workers are paid their leave allowances and contractors paid, we will not celebrate. Until our youths get jobs and business opportunities, until the youth in Okpoko Zone 9 become global serial entrepreneurs, we will not celebrate. Poverty, until poverty and income levels rising. Yes, I will not celebrate, and certainly not with the taxpayers' money.
Very interesting points from the new governor. Dr. Onuriju, are you confident that there will be rainfall after this thunder? Bearing in mind we've had a lot of promise in the past from not a few politicians who have promised so much but delivered so little. Will this be a different case, in your opinion?
Yes. I want to be this optimistic. I was very excited about the plus he gave for the Nigerian economy by using the Nigerian-made vehicle made by Innocent as his official vehicle. And if you check, you will see that this is not normal with our government for the past 20 years. This is the first time somebody who was sworn to the Constitution has actually behaved in loyalty to the Constitution. No other government, no matter what they said, what he did yesterday in using the Made in Nigeria vehicle simply shows you that what we've had is a lot of men who are honestly not committed to the Nigerian project. Again, a lot of them do not know about equity, they do not know about justice or fairness. They don't know about the country. All they are thinking about right now is ethnicity, religion. Nobody has done for Nigeria like Sununu did yesterday by using a Made in Nigerian vehicle. For me, in all that happened yesterday, that was my biggest takeaway. That somebody has come to wake us up, to tell us that our conscience should prick us. Why are we not helping Nigerian businesses? Why are we buying people cars from outside? Why are we patronizing international and foreign-made goods when we are not yet ready to patronize Nigerian-made goods? And when he made that statement yesterday, I forgot everything I saw about him and then told myself, I think this is the most important thing I saw yesterday. I saw the Made in Nigerian car bring him to the swearing ceremony. I saw the Made in Nigerian car take him away from the ceremony grounds to elsewhere. And I just was telling myself, what will happen across Nigeria when every chief executive and those appointed and also in executive branch start embracing made in Nigeria.
Dr. Oluju, interesting. You seem really impressed with his speech and his actions on his inaugural day. But let's not forget, I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody. We're moving the command and control center of our security apparatus to the northeast. I mean, I'm sure you remember how you felt and how a lot of people felt at that time.
No.
We've had a lot of promise. Politicians have said so many things, but it's not about what you say. It's about what you do. Are we getting too excited too soon?
That's why I'm telling you, I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody. It was just rhetoric from somebody who we found out to be fundamentally dishonest. But the use of the made in Nigerian vehicle was not rhetoric, it was action. He was actually doing it. He wrote there in the made in Nigerian vehicle. And I was telling myself, the kind of reverberations this will have for the Nigerian economy, should we have those people in government offices and elected persons resort to embracing Nigeria first. Nobody has done it this way before. Never mind the rhetoric. I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody. I was just a fraudulent rhetoric, and the man never acted. I want to follow actions. I don't want to follow the rhetoric from politicians, no. I want to see actions. And the action I saw yesterday in the governor being driven there with a made in Nigerian car and taking out there with a made in Nigerian car, I simply pray that he now pressurizes the rank and file of his executive, and then by inference, forcing the legislative branch to also embrace made in Nigeria. Do you also see his shirt? He was wearing a made in Nigerian shirt. So these things are things that I believe make a lot of sense. I want to watch actions, not rhetoric.
All right, Dr. Catherine Nunuju, looking at his speech yesterday, he talked about the fact that Nambarians will not be celebrating until lives and properties are protected, and you have everyone having a good life, health, access to health facilities, among others. Now, one of the issues that was also mentioned and credited to him is the fact that in addressing security, which we understand the security dynamics in the southeastern region, he talked about having a dialogue with the IPOP, the ESN, and of course MASOP. Now, do you see the strategy working? Do you see the strategy working?
Well, he spoke to the security needs of the region, but then he knows that for the security problem to go away, you need to talk to the federal government. Because I believe the cascade of violence across the country are purposely, intentionally instrumented by the Buhari administration. So if you have an administration that forces soldiers to stay hands when soldiers are killed, to stay hands when aircraft, our fighter Alpha Jet is shot down in Zamfara, to stay hands when people go to farms and damage farm products, to stay hands when Nigerians are living in IDP camps, even though we're not at war, then you should understand. Yes, he was talking about Anambra, no, but that was an honest metaphor for the entire country. It is a country where we have now seen somebody who, due to ethnicity, has decided to allow the country bomb. And that, I speak about the Buhari administration. You can see how the country has fallen apart. No fuel, no flights, no electricity. And where is Buhari? Buhari is in London. So that's why, it's reminiscent of the saying that they say that a king was fiddling while Rome was born.
But let's also look at, just before we move away also, I mean, we also need to understand the fact that you have IPOP, and we know what the agitation of IPOP is, asking that, they want sovereignty. And it doesn't add up, asking for that particular dialogue, let's work together and, solve the problem. And when this group of persons actually have, a different intention and interest entirely, how do you think that's going to pan out for him?
Well, what he's simply doing, he's taking a polite shot at a serious national issue. Don't forget, what IPOP is asking for is not sovereignty per se. IPOPs are reacting to the exclusions in Nigeria. So what they are saying is, if you will not include us in the scheme of things, if you will not stop the employment of nepotism as a policy of state. We want our own separate entity. And IPOB is not the first to say they want their own separate entity. The Yorubas say they wanted their own separate entity at the time when Abiola's election was annulled. And what did we think about? Trying to ameliorate their pains. We brought Obasanjo and made him president. When the Ezo wanted a separate entity, when they cried about exploitations of the hydrocarbon with nothing to show for them, what did we do? We brought in Goodluck as a way. Yet, these games of carrot and stick, it's really not doing it. So I agree. Just as the East is now complaining, like the Niger Delta did, like the North also did, when some of them who are not comfortable with democracy demanded for a Sharia state and also demanded for the Boko Haram and all that, I believe what he's saying is it is time that we listen to these several voices and sit down to do something about it as a nation. Now, those who are still in control of power in Abuja, of course, they are dilly-dallying and they are procrastinating about this serious national crisis. And it is because of that serious national crisis, primarily, the non-proper organization of the superstructure of states, which we now argue and call deregulation. Because you can have an entity, call itself a federal entity, and yet it runs a unitary system where everything is controlled by soldiers who wrote a decree, and that decree we have not expunged. That decree we have today not tried to, repair it. No, we need some carpentry. We must do some carpentry work on that decree. We must carpentry our country, bring some quality of good carpentry to change the country in such a way that we can devolve power to the federating unit. As you saw, the National Assembly tried to do in a very joking manner, but we believe that's what the National Assembly pretends to do when it says doing constitutional amendment is what we should do holistically. Sit down as people of one desiring nation. And I'm happy people are beginning to understand this. Some 10 years ago, I told people on television, Nigeria is not a nation. At that time, some generals would say, why are you saying that? I said, because you people, you wasted all your days in rulership, but you never were able to carve Nigeria into being a nation. I believe it is now time that the diverse people of Nigeria should sit down and to manufacture a nation. Let us agree to set Nigeria on path towards nationhood. We are a country with defined borders. We are not yet a nation with a people who are agreeing on a single cause. Look at, if we were a nation, why would those who brought Buhari to power, knowing very well that we operate a system based on a quota? Quota simply means inclusion for everybody. And that's why we do the affirmative action. Why will somebody who brought in Buhari, claiming it is the turn of the North, suddenly now go by form after 8 years of Buhari's administration? That shows that he doesn't understand that nation building is hinged around fairness, justice, and equity. And if a man does not have any regard for fairness, justice, and equity, nobody should take him seriously as an aspirant for presidency.
Okay, all right.
That's what I believe.
Thank you, Kachiriju. Let's move on from the security aspect of his speech. Look at the economics of his speech. He is focused on increasing the internally generated revenue of Anambra State. He declared, however, a 1-month tax holiday, and he says that he will go after the touts and the unqualified people who've been harassing Anambrarians, if you want to call it that, and extorting them on uncountable sums of money. And he says that he's urging Anambrarians after the tax holiday to pay their taxes in order for his administration to be able to deliver on its promises. Now, what should, apart from looking at increased IGR in terms of better tax collection and all that, what else can Soludo look at to boost the economy of Anambra State?
what he has done is the right thing. It's not an issue of increasing IGR. There are no mechanism for IGR collection presently in Anambra State, presently in Abia State, because Anambra should actually do much better than it is doing right now. It should come next to Lagos State when it comes to IGR collection if it were doing it properly. I speak this because Anambra is a business-infested state. And because the business activities are not properly taxed, that's why Anambra doesn't get any revenue in terms of from the activities in the state. So I think Soludo has actually, in my own way, captured the most important essence when it comes to revenue generation. Nobody has any mechanism for collecting taxes in Anambra. All they do is extortions that end in the pockets of one or two persons. So I think what we are doing right now is the right thing. I commend Soludo for his efforts, and I believe that he should do more to actually find out all the revenue streams that should act to help Anambra taxes.
Okay, well, before we move on from the economy, one thing that some people have pointed out from his speech is that he seems to be someone who doesn't want to spend money. We know what they say about economists, bankers, and accountants. They don't like to spend. He was proudly proclaiming and boasting that he didn't spend one kobo of Anambra money on that event, that they had to source money from themselves to even get, you know, the refreshment that was shared there. And they shared things like abacha, you know, at the venue. So, but you know, as far as economic models are concerned, government spending is very important. Government is the biggest spender in every economy in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Do you foresee problems as far as liquidity in Anambra State is concerned, because Soludo might be frugal?
No. P2B was also frugal. There was no trouble. What he was simply trying to sound in all those things is he has learned from Governor P2B, and he's going to be frugal like Governor P2B was, but I will even be more frugal than Governor P2B. Anambra people are not begging for people to dash them money. No, these are very hardworking people. I think we should get our eyes away from that. And of course, you know very well, the last governor was not known to be a frugal man. I think some of those things that we're saying about the last governor who didn't continue where P2B stopped in terms of being frugal with public finances, that's what he was trying to say. That, in opposite to the immediate governor, he will be frugal. He will try to continue from where P2B stopped. That's what he's saying. So I don't foresee any Anambra person complaining. No. Anambra is a good place.
Dr. Kach, just before we coasted down, because we're almost out of time, and of course we understand that it's important to channel these resources. Nigeria over time has been described as an overwhelmed nation where we constantly spend on frivolities. And like he mentioned in his speech, he would channel those resources in ensuring that, you know, there's a better healthcare facilities, among other issues, which will be of, you know, great importance to the people. However, looking at it now, and apart from the speech and statement that he's made, what other thing would you anticipate or expect from his governorship or his administration?
Policies.
What policies now?
Soludo, like me, is a policy worker, and he understands policy. And he knows how policies can actually change political and economic landscapes. And that's what we believe we look up to him for. That's actually the reason why he's elected. He is a man who has tried some of these policies before as central bank governor, and these things worked. He also tried them as economic advisor to the federal government. It worked. So now he has his own chiefdom to actually run it fully as an executive. We want him now to implement those policies. We want him now to instrument more policies that will serve Anambra better than it served the central bank. The way he was able to use policies to commit to things like our consolidation in the banking industry, I've made our banks mega banks who are better suited to now compete in a better time let us see him transform Anambra State into such a state that is better positioned to actually take charge of a changing country, changing from dictatorship to a market-friendly situation. And with Anambra having the biggest market on the Niger River, I think he has a lot to do. And don't forget, Anambra State is a major hydrocarbon state. It sits on gas. And so we now expect that he will also set policies that will unlock a lot of those things. Don't forget, Orient Petroleum's oil wells were only recently just encapped.
Okay.
But
Dr.
the captain
Koch.
of those wells,
Before we go, just
and
a quick one before we go. His predecessor, Obiano, barely had time to put his head on a pillow to rest for the night when he was arrested same day by the EFCC. Your thoughts on that, very quickly, in 1 or 2 sentences?
Oh, no, he knew they were going to come for him, so he simply tried to bait them. He baited them, and they came for him. Being arrested by EFCC is not, they will arrest you, you stay there, the lawyers will run about, and you get bail. Ayo Fayose is a good example, and different people react differently to fear. So for me, the EFCC is not. Don't forget what the law says. It is the government of Anambra State that has the right to pursue this governor in regards to what is missing in Anambra. You might find out now that EFCC stories are just a wild hunt. But let's see what it is. The Supreme Court judgment saying the states have the power to pursue the governors. Those are the things we're going to test. So I'm not worried about where we're going. That he's arrested is nothing new. He's served. Let him go and give small accounting for his service.
All right.
That's not
Thank
his
you.
big in that.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kacha Nunuju. We do appreciate your thoughts and time on the show this morning. That's Under Breakfast. We look forward to sharing more of your thoughts on some national issues.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. Dr. Kacha Nunuju is a political analyst. Quite interesting insight on the next phase for Anambarians, as you have Charles Soludo been sworn in as the governor. Well, I like some of the things that he's mentioned. He's talked about implementation of policies. Policies without implementation would just be mere policy statement. And we know that for us as a country, we have too many policies. We don't have a problem of policy in Nigeria. We have a problem of implementation of policies. And I'm sure that Kofi...
Absolutely. He's an astute technocrat. We've had a lot of technocrats in government before. Let's see what the future holds.
Definitely.
All right, that's the size of the discussion right here on The Breakfast. And of course, we have more ahead. When we return, we talk sports and we'll look at some developments in the sporting world. Please stay with us.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on PlusTvAfrica, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
Welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We head straight to our second conversation right here, and we talk sports this morning. Of course, in sports, we're looking at Manchester United getting knocked out of the UEFA Champions League following their loss to Atletico Madrid, the round of 16 on Tuesday night. Now, the loss meant that Manchester United completed 5 years of a dreadful trophy drought, but isn't that what's on the mind of football lovers? And that's because this loss also implies that the Portuguese great Cristiano Ronaldo will complete a season without a club trophy for the very first time since 2009 to 2010 season. Now, the vast majority of football lovers believe that this is the end of an era that was heavily dominated by two great Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. This morning, we have a guest joining the conversation. We'll look at the implication for Manchester United and the way forward for them. Of course, the stakeholders looking at Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But Monday Thomas joins the conversation this morning. He's a sports presenter. Monday, it's good to have you join us on a Friday.
Good morning. It's fantastic to also be talking to you this morning. I hope you're doing great.
Very well, thank you for asking. So let's just share your thoughts on the UEFA Champions League generally, the performance of the clubs and has been so far.
For Manchester United, I mean, that just sums up their entire season. I mean, what are you expecting? You've got the GOAT, Ronaldo. He has done the very best for you. 6 goals in the UEFA Champions League, and that's the most by a Manchester United player. He has scored most goals for Manchester United in the English Premier League. He has done his feat. I mean, a lot of people are already in the conversation if Ronaldo is finished or if Messi is totally finished or if these players are losing touch. Ronaldo at the age of 37, greatest goal scorer in history for club and country, 807 goals. What else are you expecting? I mean, football has changed. I mean, football has completely changed. Players are getting better with age, the likes of Benzema. No player has contributed to more goals this season than Karim Benzema. He's 33. Look at Robert Lewandowski. He's 33. He's still firing. Karim Benzema is actually 34. But I'm just taking a look at how football is changing the dynamics. Players are getting better with age. I mean, especially the strikers. Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Okay, but just before we delve into, Monday Thomas, can you hear us, please? So just before we get into delving to the analysis, looking at the life and times of the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi right here, what's your take on the entire UEFA Champions League?
Well, my take is that it's quite a shame that they are out, and it's quite very unfortunate that they played with very average players.
Well, we seem to be losing our connection with Monday Thomas. As soon as we're able to have this connection, then of course we continue with the conversation right here. Well, Kofi, you know, a lot of persons are really talking. I mean, with the overall performance, football lovers across entirely seem to be focused on, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. But I'll come to you just before we move away. So Monday, let's continue with your thoughts this morning.
All right, so Lionel Messi, is quite unfortunate that he's playing with average players, and that is why Paris Saint-Germain are out of the UEFA Champions League. They've got potentials, but what happens when you don't maximize these potentials? Look at Neymar Jr., great player. He's got what it takes to be one of the best footballers on earth, but then he lacks discipline. Donnarumma, what actually happened in that night in Bernabeu? Donnarumma, you are Gianluigi, but you're not Gianluigi Buffon. What are you doing at the back? You're literally flirting. Karim Benzema, one of the most potent strikers in world football right now, is in front of you, and you're holding the ball. Look at Marquinhos. That third goal Karim Benzema just needed to pocket in. It was Marquinhos who was not able to clear the ball out. So Lionel Messi, at 34, is still one of the greatest in football. It's quite unfortunate that he's playing with average footballers. So no one should take a swap at Lionel Messi crashing out of the UEFA Champions League. I think Paris Saint-Germain got to fix things. Leave Mauricio Pochettino out of this.
Yeah,
it is
Monday Thomas. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir.
You said that, you know, Messi is in an average team, but this is a team that got to the UCL semi-final, I think, last season. Is a team that has also
2020.
Yes. Have they been to the final yet? Please remind me.
Paris Saint-Germain have been in the final. They played Bayern Munich in 2020.
Fantastic. Yes. So, I mean, they've had the likes of Unai Emery, Tuchel, and co. You have Messi in the team. You have Mbappe in that team. You have Neymar. You have great midfielders in that team. Marquinhos is a good defender. You have players that other teams would love to have, you know, in that team. There are players like Van Alden who can't even make the first 11 because that team is that good. They have the best goalkeepers. Donnarumma is the best keeper in Europe, you know, from the last Europa competition. So would it be fair for you to say Messi is in an average team? And has Messi lost his sparkle, as it were? Is it over, you know, for this player, like it may be for Cristiano?
It is quite sad that football lovers are in this conversation already. Messi at the age of 34, just allow him to have this dance. Allow this player to enjoy themselves. I can remember in 2019 when Ian Robben said goodbye to football. I had tears dropping down in my eyes because since Ian Robben left football, what we've seen with that beautiful left foot, it's quite sad that a lot of people are already rushing to say Lionel Messi has lost touch. He's completely finished. I'm like, are you kidding me? 10 goals in the league on, 10 assists in the league on, and that is joint highest. 5 goals in the UEFA Champions League. Although he's gotten just 2 league goals, but as a player who's not playing the number 9 position, as a player who's still playing from the wing, who's still doing a bit of a number 10 role, I mean, what else do you expect from him? He's getting in the goals, and I'll say time and time again, anywhere, anytime, Lionel Messi is with a bunch of average players. Maybe they've got potentials, but until they prove me wrong with their performances, then I'll give it to them. Kylian Mbappe is the only player I can pick out of that Paris Saint-Germain squad. Neymar, what happened to him on the night? I know Messi missed that penalty that should have given Paris Saint-Germain a 2-goal advantage in Paris. But of course, it can happen to anyone. Anyone can miss the penalty. But anyone cannot be flirting in the back when you have Karim Benzema looking at you. Anyone should be able to know that when you are being attacked and you have no option is to clear the ball out. Marquinhos, I know he was under pressure, but he should have cleared that ball out. He tried to pass. And unfortunately, he got to Benzema, and that was the end of the game for Paris Saint-Germain.
Okay, so talking about
Messi,
the PSG team. You said they have average players. I still disagree with you, but I'll give it to you. Starting for PSG when they got to the final of the Champions League, so he has sort of a mojo. Is this a coaching problem for PSG?
Absolutely not. Mauricio Pochettino is a fine coach. I can remember him explaining this for Paris Saint-Germain, Espanyol, fine player as well. What did he do with Tottenham Hotspur in 2019? He qualified them to the UEFA Champions League when they eventually lost to Liverpool with no budget or whatsoever. Not even a low budget. No budget. So you can't tell me it's Mauricio Pochettino who's to be blamed in this particular situation. He's a prolific manager.
So, but let's also talk about the fact that, the season, the UEFA Champions League has left a lot, heartbroken. I mean, it feels like the entire, Champions League is about Messi and Ronaldo crashing out. But of course, you still have the fact that Messi and Ronaldo still have a chance to prove it. We're talking about the World Cup. Now, unfortunately, you have the fact that Argentina has actually qualified sometime. Now, the big question would be, do you see Ronaldo, taking the Portugal club, to winning the World Cup and qualifying for it at the time where you're having the playoff? Another chance to prove himself.
Certainly another chance for him, but winning the World Cup, it's going to be very daunting, but it's not impossible for Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a big game player. 807 goals, greatest goal scorer for club and country. What are you saying? He is going to show. He's a showman, and he's going to, of course, produce some incredible stuff in the World Cup. But it's one step at a time. They take on Turkey in the playoffs, and they have some players who are not going to be featuring for them. And it's quite going to be a difficult task. But I'm saying Cristiano Ronaldo, that chance you talk about, if it's given to him at the World Cup, is certainly going to perform.
We're sitting here years after still talking, like Messi has just pointed out, about Cristiano and Lionel. Why is it that we've not had other players challenge and break into this top two? Of course, Lewandowski has tried and he's done his best, but he's nowhere near the levels that these two have gotten to at their peak. Neymar left Barca to go to PSG to become the world's best player. You know what happened. And if these two are on a swan song, or rather on a decline, who do you expect, is my second question, who do you expect can step into their shoes?
All right, let me tell you why Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are still the signature in world football right now. It's not as if the other players are not doing greatly. Kylian Mbappe is outrageously good. Erling Haaland, although this season he has been injured for the most part of it, he has scored 16 Bundesliga goals. And that's something for a player who has just played barely half of the season. And now, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, I think it's just about media hype. The media are still focusing on these players. Yes, they're still talking about these players more than they should. I think they should also let the new names come up. Eden Hazard, prolific, great winger. Although in Real Madrid, he's not doing greatly. But what about his days at Chelsea? He was not hyped. He was not talked about as Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are being talked about. I mean,
so by Monday, just before we let you go, because we're costing out of time, so I bring you back to my very first question. And I'd like to, take your thoughts on the entire performance of the UEFA Champions League. I mean, looking at all of the teams that have actually played, or the clubs, if you like to say, which would you say is actually, or, has been in best performance?
Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich is always a team to watch anytime, any day. And also, we are not going to overlook Manchester City, who are desperate for the title, Pep Guardiola as well. So for me, I think Bayern Munich are one of the biggest teams in the quarterfinals, and as well as Manchester City.
What about,
of course, it's the Europe.
Yeah, what about Villarreal?
So, Villarreal, yes, they did miracles in Turin. The other night, scoring 3 goals in 14 minutes, is also a team to watch. Of course, knowing that Unai Emery, someone who knows how to play European football, is right there. But this is his first quarterfinals in the UEFA Champions League, and let's just give him a chance. Unai Emery. So some persons will say you still need to look at the clubs like Chelsea and Liverpool, in that same analysis. Thomas Tuchel, my word. Chelsea is blessed to have him right now at this crazy times. He's a great manager. And this is when I want to talk about how football is no longer a one-man's business, just like it was some time ago. You've got to have great defenders. Look at N'Golo Kante in the middle of the pack. You've got quality goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy, AFCON winner, FIFA best goalkeeper. Rudiger is out there in your defense line, and as well as Christensen. Thiago Silva, at the age of 37, super. So Chelsea have got a team as well. Liverpool, the best team in the English Premier League for me. They're better than Manchester City. I don't know how Manchester City is on top, but on the 10th of April, we'll find out.
I know Messi could not allow this conversation end without mentioning Liverpool. It's okay.
Well, that's all right. Thank you so much.
Next season, we'll be mentioning Arsenal. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
sports
it.
journalist who's joined us live on The Breakfast this morning. Thank you.
Appreciate you for your time as well.
Right, well, the best we see. May the best man win. Mercy, don't worry. Next season, we'll be mentioning Arsenal as well.
Arsenal will always be gone.
It's okay.
Well, many thanks for being part of the
yourself.
conversation. It's a beautiful Friday. And of course, that's on a lighter note. We wish you the very best this weekend. And we hope that all things will be very equal and everything will be perfect. However, if you missed out on any part of the conversation, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Mercy Boko. Have a fantastic day.
And it's a wrap for this week. My name is Kofi Bartels, who will return on Monday. Keep watching Plus TV Africa.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, you know, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria,
Showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
So what are the tough decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 when they pay.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Good morning, I am Jacinta Obiuku. This is the news brief. The newly sworn-in governor of Anambra State, Charles Soludo, in his inaugural speech, has assured residents that he is ready to deliver on his campaign promises, explaining that the state would win under his watch. The governor was accompanied by his wife, Nonye, his deputy, Dr. Onyeka Ibezim, and his wife.
I insisted that this event must not cost the government of Anambra 1 kobo, and it has not. Even the little refreshment that we'll have here, the canopies as well, they are all paid personally. It will not cost Anambra 1 kobo to do this. I would rather use such resources, if it's available, to lay the foundation stone for a public hospital at Okpoko or elsewhere, or empower our security agencies to fight criminality. Today, I come with a sober heart, conscious of the enormity of responsibilities on our shoulders and the challenges ahead. Yes, there will be time to celebrate. We will celebrate when security of life and property is guaranteed and law and order is restored. When every child of schooling age is in school, when every school child is receiving the 21st century education for the digital age. We will celebrate when everyone, especially children and women, can access quality health care, where the cost of doing business is down to near zero. Our roads are tarred and we have an efficient transportation system with no one having to wait in traffic for more than a few minutes. Until we have access to 24-hour electricity and our streets are clean and green, our cities, communities, and markets are planned and clean, the many millions of Chalinwambafos and the vulnerable persons are lifted up to realize their God-given potential. And all our pensioners receive their gratuities and workers are paid their leave allowances and contractors paid, we will not celebrate. Until our youths get jobs and business opportunities, until the youth in Okpoko Zone 9 become global serial entrepreneurs, we will not celebrate. Poverty, until poverty and income levels rising. Yes, I will not celebrate, and certainly not with the taxpayers' money.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested the immediate past Anambra Governor Willie Obiano at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. Obiano was reportedly arrested around 8:30 p.m. on Thursday after he handed over to Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo. EFCC spokesman Wilson Owajeran, who confirmed the arrest, said the former governor was on his way to Houston, Texas, in the United States. The National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress Caretaker Extraordinarily Convention Planning Committee, CECPC, May Malaboni, has refuted claims that he has reversed some actions taken by Niger Delta Governor Mohammed Bello. In a statement, Boni reiterated that he had duty transmitted power to Governor Bello, who acted on his authority while he was out of the country for medical treatment. There had been insinuations that Bello had permanently replaced Boni on the orders of President Muhammadu Buhari, but the speculations have been put to rest after the president backed Boni's continued role as the CECPC chairman. The former governor of Nasarawa State and senator representing Nasarawa Western Etora District, Umaru Tanko Al-Makura, has promised to unite the All Progressive Congress APC, run a gender-friendly and all-inclusive government in his quest for the chairmanship position of the ruling party. Al-Makura visited the House of Representatives to solicit the support of members for the coveted position.
Your support in this project, because I assure you, if I become the national chairman, I will ensure internal party democracy. I will ensure a reward system in whatever way. I will also ensure equity, justice, and fairness. I will promote gender and youth aspirations. I can assure you, my leadership of the party will be inclusive. I will pay special attention to people that are vulnerable so that they can have a sense of belonging and participate effectively in the goings on of the party.
I have a relationship with distinguished Senator Al-Makura spanning more than 30 years. Relationship not on a parallel basis, vertical. A friend to my senior brother, intimate one, and I believe I have a lot to say about the distinguished senator. I believe he has the quality, he has the capacity, and he has everything it takes to give.
Distinguished Senator, you have also said what you are today You have also said what you were yesterday. But one important thing I believe members will always cherish, that you are also a card-carrying member of this great institution of the legislature. I thank you so much for finding time to come and interface with the members of the House Caucus, APC House Caucus. And on their behalf, I would like...
On arrival, addressing journalists at the NUJ Press Center, spokesman for the community, Abdul Jabo, said the governor's brother has been reluctant to the PDP.
We wish to call on Chubado to tread words with caution, even as we wish him well in his new political abode. We ask the stakeholders of Madagali, therefore, will continue to support Governor Amadou Umar Fintiri for his effort to bring back the lost glory of Adamawa. Purported defection of Honorable Chubado Tijani Babi. It is on record that Chubado has ceased to be an active member of PDP since 2014 and has not been participating actively.
The family of Major General Henry Edmond Olufemi Adefope organized a memorial event and a presentation of his biography to commemorate his life and times in Lagos. Ngozika Ohai Jesse reports.
It's over a decade since General Henry Edmond Olufemi Adefope passed. Major General Adefope served in the Nigerian Army and as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, a member of the International Olympic Committee from 1985 to 2006, and an honorary member of the International Olympic Committee since 2007.
And we still believe that
this event was to celebrate all he was and stood for during his lifetime. Family, friends, colleagues, business associates, and statesmen were all in attendance. Oludotun Adebola Adefope Okoji, first daughter of the late general, shared a brief biography of her father.
He loved nature and was conscripted by the Lagos Horticultural Society as their president, which position he held for many years until he pleaded to be released. As president, he was able to secure large hectares of land for the society on Lagos-Badagry Expressway through Governor Raji Rasaki. He, together with his wife, loved family, both nuclear and extended.
A panel was set up to have a fireside conversation about Major General Adefope's selfless service and dedication.
The legacy that he left behind in the labor movement was that before he became a minister, the first generation of unionists have been trying to have one labor center. In fact, they had the first Nigeria Labour Congress in 1950. The four major unions, ULC, WFU, they've been struggling to form the second one. But General Adefope put his feet on the ground and brought these four centers together, which produced the Nigeria Labour Congress that we have today.
In his acceptance speech in 1967 as the chairman of the National Sports Commission, he vowed to do one thing: to develop sport and ensure that every young man and woman that needed to participate in sports and rise from the grassroots level to any level they can get, he was going to do that.
The unveiling of the book in his honor was the highlight of the event.
So, it's such a privilege and an honor, and I'd be grateful if we would all do it together. Okay. So we unveil the book in honor of this legacy of honor, integrity, and selflessness.
I want you to support the Adefope Foundation by buying several copies and donating to libraries.
The Henry and Dorothy Adefope Foundation is continuing to support and promote sports and youth development to keep his memories alive. Ngozika Ohai Jesse, Plus TV News.
The U.S. government has dismissed claims that the detained Nigerian influencer Ramon Abbas, known as Hush Puppy, executed $400,000 internet fraud from prison. Hush Puppy, 37, who was arrested in the United Arab Emirates in 2020 for crimes that cost victims almost $24 million and is currently in a U.S. jail awaiting sentencing, having pleaded guilty to money laundering. A document had emerged on social media claiming that the FBI found new evidence against Hush Puppy for defrauding Americans using prison internet facilities. Do you ever wonder why some Nigerians refuse using the pedestrian bridge as a safe access? That's on Street Views.
You have to be safe. As an elderly person, I climb it to even show example to people that this is the way to go.
Most time we are always in an hurry and you know, there is traffic everywhere and all that. So people want to just take an alternative route to get to where they are going to. It's not right, but we do it sometimes. But for those who have a challenge, maybe there should be an alternate thing the government would provide for them to cross. But if you don't have an issue, you just have to do the right thing.
I prefer crossing than using the pedestrian. There are some people who have phobia for heights, and most of us, the reason why we do use normal this thing instead of pedestrian is because we felt it's stressful. Before you climb this thing, you are already tired. Then some people are carrying load. So carrying load with this thing, moving up, is another problem.
Many people want shortcuts, so they prefer crossing here than using the pedestrian bridge, but it's not right. It's good to do what is right. The pedestrian bridge is being guided, so there is no need for scaling that you will fall down or nothing else. So it's being guided by iron, so it's very safe. There's no problem about that. You can use the pedestrian bridge.
I don't think there's any excuse saying it's because of health. I don't think there's any excuse. It's dangerous crossing the express. It's an express, it's not even an ordinary street. And it reduces traffic jam on the road if you use the pedestrian bridge.
If you look at the bridge, for instance, it's quite long. It's quite a distance. So people feel, let me just go across in 5 seconds. I'm at the other side. But I think it's safer to use the bridge. And, you know, a driver might be coming, failed brake, hits you, and that's the end of the road.
Other parts of Africa, Mali's ruling military junta says it has launched a procedure to suspend broadcasts by French media outlets, International RFI Radio and France 24 Television, accusing them of reporting false allegations of abuse by the Malian army. In a statement signed by the junta spokesman, Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, the junta said the allegations were made by the United Nations Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet and Human Rights Watch and reported by the news outlets. Maiga said the Malian government categorically rejects such false allegations against the valiant farmer Malian forces and initiates a procedure to suspend the media houses until further notice. The statement, however, did not indicate when the suspension would take effect. The president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, has said that the Guinean state is still standing and that he remains firm in his post. The president's speech, which came on the heels of the attempted coup on the 1st of February, stated that the plans by the perpetrators to provoke political chaos and condemn Guinea-Bissau to another cycle of political instability have failed. Embalo has also announced that the attempted coup resulted in 12 deaths. Outside Africa, Australia has imposed sanctions on Russia's National Wealth Fund and Ministry of Finance, two Russian oligarchs with links to its mining industry, and 11 additional Russian banks. Foreign Minister Maris Payne said the measures are in addition to a cap on the Central Bank of Russia, 41 oligarchs and immediate family members who already face targeted financial sanctions and travel bans.
We have placed sanctions on 11 additional Russian banks and government entities, and the majority of the country's banking assets are now covered by our sanctions, along with all of the entities that handle Russia's sovereign debt. Today's listing includes the Russian National Wealth Fund, the Russian Ministry of Finance. With our recent inclusion of the Central Bank of Russia, we have now targeted all Russian government entities that are responsible for issuing and managing Russia's sovereign debt. Those additional banks together account for approximately 80% of all banking assets in Russia.
The scene in Mariupol was one of the devastation and despair, as heavily damaged buildings were in every district in the northern part of Port City, with residents collecting their possessions and gathering food supplies among the debris of conflict, even as cars queued in main streets trying to leave Mariupol. The port city has been encircled by Russian forces and has been the scene of some of the fiercest bombardment of the conflict after Russia sent thousands of troops into Ukraine. Ukrainian officials said that Mariupol residents have been trapped in the city by Russian shelling without heating, electricity and running water for most of the past 2 weeks. And on business news, Nigeria has officially raised $1.25 billion through the insurance of 7 years Eurobonds in the International Capital Market, ICM. The Director General of the Debt Management Office, DMO, Patience Oniha, in a statement said that with the feat, Nigeria has become the first African country to access the ICM in 2022. According to her, the country's ability to access the Eurobonds at this time was a confirmation of her established presence with the ICM and its engagement with investors on a continuous basis, and that the proceeds of the bonds would be used to finance the budget and bridge infrastructural deficits. On entertainment news, Oscar-winning Mirari actor Yoon Yo-jung appears as a dignified Korean immigrant Sunja in the new Apple TV series Pachinko. Based on Mina Jin Lee's New York Times best-selling novel of the same name, the series follows the journey of the Korean immigrant family across 4 generations after its members leave their homeland. Yoon, who leads the cast as the older soldier, said she had not found a role that she wanted to play for a long time until the part of the 74-year-old immigrant and single mother who travels from Korea to Japan came along.
She didn't lose her dignity, even though she was poor and she was just doing all the dirty jobs or something, but she never lose her dignity. 그거가 내가 좋아서 그걸 내가 표현하고 싶었어요. 근데 내가 잘했는지 안 했는지 모르겠어요.
We know emotions are universal, right? Like, even though the show is so specific and it is about one family and is about one family's specific journey going from Korea to Japan, we understand what it's like for a mother to say goodbye to a daughter. When Yangjin says goodbye to Sunja, all mothers understand that, right? Or, I think those feelings, I really think that's what the show is going to do. It's going to make people feel something, and you don't have to be familiar with the history. The show will tell you the history, you know?
한 번도 없어? 다른 선택을 했다면 어떻게 살았을지.
People like us, we don't need to walk in our family's shadows.
And on sports news, with just 1 week to Nigeria's all-important Qatar 2022 World Cup first leg qualifying playoff clash against Ghana, the Super Eagles may be without influential midfielder Wilfred Ndidi for the encounter, as the 25-year-old sustained a knee injury while in action for Leicester City and the Europa Conference League game against Rennes at Roundhome Park. The midfielder, who started the second leg, hit the top in the 60th minute after hurting his knee and a clash with Rennes Canton Labode. Ndidi was replaced by James Madison in the 61st minute after a failed attempt to run the injury off, providing a fresh fitness worry for Coach Austin Equavan ahead of the game scheduled for the Baba Yara Stadium, Kumasi, on March 25th. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Jacinta Obiugo. Thanks for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.